Welcome to the MNC Department of Parks and Recreation's virtual New Year, New You Nutrition Workshop Series. Get ready to experience a fun, interactive, and educational session with a certified nutritionist. In this session, you will discover ways to make healthier choices as you set your personal goals to start the new year off right. Be sure to share what you learned during this session with a friend or family member.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for our January New Year, New You series. My name is Edleen Dormaville, and I am a health and wellness assistant with the Department of Parks and Recreation. Before we begin, let's go over a few housekeeping items. You should see a microphone icon at the bottom of your screen, like you see here on this screen. You will need to click this icon to mute yourself. We would ask that you remain muted to limit any distractions during the program. Next, I want to draw your attention to the camera icon. You will use this to turn your camera off and on. Please be mindful that when your camera is on, all participants joining us this evening will be able to see your screen. You have the option to keep your camera on or turn it off, but remember we want to minimize distractions throughout the program and keep the focus on the presentation being provided. Next, I would like to show you how to pin a participant. To do this, you will need to click on the Show Participants icon. In the Participants column, select the individual you want to view on your screen, then click or tap the three dot icons to reveal a menu. From the drop-down menu, select Pin for Me. The pin participant becomes the focus in your view and only your view, regardless of the speaker. To unpin, repeat these three steps and select Unpin. Repeat the same process to pin an additional participant. Please note, if you are in a web browser, the PowerPoint presentation will be in a smaller window at the top or bottom of your screen. Next, I would like to draw your attention to another Teams feature. You can also turn on live closed caption during the meeting. To do this, you will click on the three dots for more options. Then you can scroll down and find the option that says Turn on Live Captions. Then you will start to see captions at the bottom of your screen. You can choose to turn this feature on if needed. The last icon I want to tell you about is the chat icon. This will allow you to ask questions throughout the program. To type a question, you will just click on the icon like the one you see on the screen to bring up the chat box, and it should take you to what you see on the next slide. Once you see the chat box, as you can see on the screen here, there will be a space for you to type your question in. Hit enter and we will see your question on the screen. Please ask your questions throughout the program, and there will be time at the end to answer your questions. We are looking forward to a great discussion. Also, before we get started, we recommend grabbing a pen and paper for you to take notes throughout the session. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you our trained professional for the evening. Alana Gore is a registered dietitian and licensed dietitian nutritionist with a certificate of training in adult and pediatric weight management. She received her BA in anthropology, BS in biology, and Master of Public Health Nutrition from University of North Carolina. She worked as a clinical dietitian for 5 years and currently serves the DMV community as a nutrition specialist for Giant Food. She believes nutrition is about balance, not perfection. Alana hopes to inspire others to make every eating experience an adventure in making healthful choices and trying something new. Welcome again, Alana.
Hello, everyone. Can everyone see me? Yay, I can see myself
Yes.
now. Perfect. Alrighty. So we are going to go ahead and get started. I am going to upload my presentation. And while I'm doing that, I just wanted to take a quick reminder that we wrote down some goals last week, we wrote down some goals. And so I am really interested in knowing more about your goals, but today we're still going to keep them to ourselves, or you can share them in the chat if you would like. Feel free to chat at any point. You can come off of mute, ask me questions during the middle of the presentation, or if you want, you could just put them in the chat box. So I want you guys to know I'm going to ask a bunch of questions for this session. So I want it to be interactive. I want you guys to feel comfortable typing it in or saying it out loud. So it's up to you. And just like she said, I'm Elena Gore. This is going to be a virtual store tour. As a nutritionist for Giant, my goal is that I want us all to make choices that are good for us at the grocery store. That's what we want. That's when we're making these choices. We talked about it last time. Our goals are all different. And what is healthy or healthful to one of us may not be the goal or healthy or healthful for another person. We can think about different chronic diseases that we have that may influence our choices. We can think about different preferences and cravings that we have that influence our choices. So today we're going to go and kind of do this virtual store tour where we kind of just go around and as if we're going to go shopping in the store to each section and kind of see what it is that we want to pick out. All right. So I think everyone can, yep, I can see now. Okay, perfect. So again, this is going to be a virtual store tour. I'm making the chat visible to myself. There we go. And so we're just going to talk about some tips for success when you're shopping. All right. So before we get started in the actual store, we also want to talk about Giant services as well as other grocery store services that have a pickup or a delivery option. So remember that when you're making healthy choices, sometimes that does not mean you can physically go into the grocery store. You could be sick. There could be other things going on. So remember that there is a pickup option where they shop for you and then you just go and they load it in the car. Or you can get Giant Delivers, which they deliver it to your door. Okay. And so, yes, got you. Was that for me? Okay. So we want to start with shopping for health. So when we shop for our health, the first thing we want to think about is we want to make sure that we have a snack. We want to make sure that we bring a list. When we're talking about health, health sometimes requires change and it requires a little bit of discipline. So we're going to make lists before we go. All right. So if you're thinking that you want to add more vegetables, if that was your goal, or if you're thinking that you want to reduce your salt intake or your sodium intake, and that's your goal, you want to write down list of food and items that you need that are either vegetables or have less sodium in them. Or maybe even make a note to have a less sodium option of certain foods. So make sure you bring the list that you take the time to make. Okay. And so we're going to, when we're in the store specifically, the things we want to remember is to always use the signs. They can help us go to where we want to go. We want to avoid impulse buys. So this is why we have the snack, right? So that when we have that craving, we don't go buy all the things that can satisfy that craving that we may not need and that may not be on our list. And when we talk about health overall, you want to aim for a half of your cart to be produce. All right. You want it to be fruits, vegetables. They can be fresh, frozen, or canned. Healthy living and healthy eating starts with making sure that our portions are okay. And we use My Plate to help do that. So My Plate says that half your plate is going to be fruits and vegetables or produce. So we want half of your cart to also be fruits, vegetables, and produce. All right. When you're shopping at Giant, you want to make sure that you use the icons that we have there. We have Guiding Stars, which is our nutrition rating system. And we also have the How Good, which is not a nutrition rating system, but it helps rate how our produce and our other items are grown, produced, and are processed and shipped to us. So we want them to be environmentally friendly if they can be. So 1, 2, or 3 leaves means good for the environment, better for the environment, and best for the environment, respectively. And then our Guiding Stars means good for you, better for you, or best for you as far as nutritionally. Nutritionally, it means it has more of the things in it that we want, like vitamins, minerals, omega omega-3s, protein, fiber, and has less of the things that we want less of, like saturated fats, added sugar, sodium. So use those icons when you're shopping for your health. They can help you save a lot of time while you're there. And they are on the shelf tags, just like they are presented here. So before we go to the store and before we walk in the door, we know that we want to shop to save money. All right. There's no point in spending extra on things if you can save it, if it's on sale, if there's other options. So make sure that you have a rewards card, that you have some sort of giant bonus, flexible rewards, that you have a bonus card. This applies to grocery stores as well as other types of stores that you may go to for other products. A lot of stores that are brick and mortar stores, they have a lot of rewards program to reward their customers for coming in. So make sure that you grab one of those from whatever store you shop at. Hopefully it's a Giant. Check the flyer. If there's a flyer there, we send out a weekly flyer that has a lot of coupons, a lot of ads to let you know what's going on in the store before you get there. So you can see what items are on sale. You can write them on your list. You can see items that you want to try. So make sure you check that flyer before you go so you can already know what's there and what's probably on sale. Buy in season. In season is a great way to save money, all right, and be healthy. When it's in season, it tastes better and it still has all the nutrition in it that we want it to have. You can choose store brands, which are generic brands sometimes. Ours is, we have Nature's Promise, which is our own brand, and we also have our Giant brand. So different stores have different store brands. Those are going to be a lot cheaper to you while you're shopping in store. And what we all know is buy in bulk. So family size for a lot of things that will stay fresh or either stay on the shelf. Go big or go home sometimes. That can help you save money. And last but not least, remember that there is a unit price that is posted on shelf tags. And so we look at the big retail price, which on this particular diagram is to our right. And so that's going to be, we know something's $1, we know something's $1.35. But we want to look at the unit price, which is to the left, and it's much smaller. And that can let you know how much it costs per individual unit that they sell it, so you can see which one is the best value for you. All right, so shopping to save money is about choosing healthy items, but also getting them at a good low price or getting them at a sale price and getting them at the best value. So when you first walk into a Giant store, when you go in, most of the time your produce is going to be right there when you walk in. You're either going to be able to see it directly to your left, directly to your right, and it's somewhere, and it's going to be along the whole wall. And so I highly recommend that's where we start. We want half our cart to be there. Hopefully that's where most of our items are going to be. So go to your left or your right, depending on your Giant store, and go straight for your produce first. All right. We know that produce has a lot of benefits for us. These vegetables, they're going to have vitamins, they're going to have minerals, they're going to have antioxidants in them. So when people first tell me they want to get healthier, stay healthier, get the most for their money, I'm always going to tell you that you want to go shop and have that half a cart produce, and you want to start in the produce section to know where to go from there. So this is where you're going to see what's in season. This is where you're going to see what's local. This is where you're going to see where your vitamins, your nutrients, your minerals are to help you stay healthy. All right. When you're looking around the produce section, because this is half of our plate, like our My Plate diagram here, what you want to strive for is eating the rainbow. Get all the colors in there. All right. There's a reason that there's red, purple, blue, green. There's a reason that there's so many options and so many different colors from a natural standpoint. That's where different nutrients are. Each color has a different phytonutrient that is good for us and helps our body maintain, function, and fight disease. So make sure that you're eating the rainbow. If you don't like something that's a particular color, I always use the example of carrots. Like if you don't like carrots, they're orange. There's probably another orange fruit or vegetable that you like, and that orange is going to have that same phytonutrient in it that carrots do. It's not going to have the exact same nutrient composition, but it is going to have at least that carotenoid in it, which is that particular phytonutrient that is orange. So think about different colors, think about the things that you like in those colors, and aim for the rainbow. Eat in season, we talked about that. And people ask me all the time about organic versus conventional, which is just your regular generic. And I will remind everyone that organic is about the way something is grown and or raised, okay? It is not about nutrient value. So organic does not equal healthier for you. Organic equals how it's grown, whether they use certain pesticides, what they use to help make it grow, and what they use to produce it, but it does not equal higher nutritional value. So organic versus regular or conventional, that is a personal choice that can be based on money. Some people ask, is organic worth the money? I don't know. That is for you. I know personally there are some items that I just like better when they're organic, and a lot of items I just buy the regular conventional because I want to save that money. So again, very personal choice. If you guys ever have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me, and so we can go dive deeper into that. What you want to look out for is when you're going through the section, especially, let's see if I can go back to this picture here. You'll see the whole fruits, like the whole vegetables, and you'll see them lined up and very pretty. But then you can also see cut vegetables and fruits. This is to help make it more convenient for you. So if you're a person that needs that convenience, because you just hate chopping vegetables and so that's why you don't eat them, or if you're a person that needs something on the go, something ready to eat, definitely look for the cut fruits and vegetables, those bagged salads. If you've seen a presentation from me before, you know I love a good bagged salad, okay? It's great. It's great for on the go. It's great for a family. It's great for convenience. It's just great all around. And they're not super expensive. So they are just one of my favorites. We do have local produce box in the summer from local farmers. That's not at all times, but in the summers we do. And remember that in the produce section, we have produce that is fresh when we're going there, but we also know that we have frozen and canned produce in those sections, in the frozen section. So if you're going to shop, remember you may want something, you may see a broccoli bushel and say, but you know what, I'm not really going to eat all of that in the next week. So then maybe buy your broccoli in the frozen section, and then that way it will stay and you can still enjoy it for later. Okay, so this is our produce section when we're walking in. And so I wanted to ask, and don't be afraid to put it into the chat. So my question is going to be, what is one of your favorite fruits or vegetables that you purchase from the produce section? So what's one of your favorites? It could be one that's up here. It could be a bag salad. It could be cut fruit, but let me know in the chat or shout it out what your favorite produce is.
Oh, we have one person that said kiwi.
Yes, kiwi is a great one. And kiwi does not,
Broccoli.
yes, broccoli is also a great one. The thing I love about kiwi that a lot of people don't know is you can actually eat the skin of kiwi. So if you are a kiwi fan, or if you're not a kiwi fan, but you want to try it, you can. Now, if you get golden kiwis, the skin's a little bit more bearable because the regular kiwis that are green, the skin's pretty fuzzy. So some people don't like the texture, but kiwi is surprisingly, the skin is edible and very high in fiber, extremely high in fiber. So that's a little tip. Cauliflower is a good one. So they do a lot of cauliflower substitutes for carbs, which you guys are probably familiar with. You can buy frozen cauliflower rice. You can buy regular cauliflower. They have just done so much with cauliflower. So you can get it in almost every section, and it is a great one. Cucumbers. Yes, cucumbers on a fresh salad is some of my favorite stuff. I will remind everyone I am a Southerner, and in North Carolina, we love cucumbers and vinegar with a little salt and pepper in there. And then sometimes you cut up an onion in it. So that is our light little pickling that we do. I mean, everybody eats cucumber that I know in apple cider vinegar with a little salt and pepper. So cucumber's a great one. So yeah, so the produce section, I always go to my favorites. When I'm in doubt, when I'm in a rush, and I'm like, I don't feel like looking through the produce. I don't know what I want to try this week. Go for the things that you know you like or will eat. It may sound cliche, but the other day I went in and I just got an apple and a banana, or I think I got like 4 apples and like a little thing of bananas. And normally I try to do a little bit more than that, but I was kind of in a rush. I wasn't really in the mood, but I can't skip out on my fruit. I can't skip out on my produce no matter how I feel. So I just did good old faithful banana and good old faithful apple. And those are ones I can just rinse and or just pick off and just take on the go if I have a busy day. So you can always try something new, but remember to definitely go with good old faithful when you need to. But the goal is to have half your cart be produce when you go shopping. Now, is it okay if it's not completely half? Yes, because these are just goals that we're setting. But the mindset is to go in saying, you know what, let me make sure I have a few frozen if I need them, or a few canned for next week, or I'm going to cook this week, so let me get this fresh. So have a plan to put so much of that into your cart and start off that way. When you start that way, it's already in your cart. If you run out of time, you at least got your produce. And also remember that produce is very high in fiber. A lot of the products there, especially those green leafies, those salads, those different things. So these are things that are going to make you feel fuller longer. So this is a great place to start. We always want to start in our produce section, and then we go from there. So if you're in the grocery store and you've gone in this produce section, you've gotten your favorites, you've gotten your kiwi, your broccoli, your cucumbers, your cauliflower. And so now if you keep walking along the wall, the next section you're going to hit is the meat and the seafood section. So this is going to be your fresh meat, fresh seafood, and then not too far from that are going to be those refrigerators that have the frozen ones, and also some of just the cooled meats and prepackaged and processed meats. So we're going to go there next because we know in our My Plate, the next section that we need is protein. And so protein, we want it to be a quarter of our plate, and protein helps us heal. It helps our muscles. If you're having a muscle aches or if you're just recovering from something, you want to make sure that you're getting plenty of protein. Protein also helps us feel full. So when we have our protein and our produce, we're working really good on satiety and feeling satisfied and feeling full. Therefore, we're not as prone to snack and or pick a lot of items that maybe have more saturated fats in them. But I move ahead a little bit. So when we're thinking about protein, we know there's so many options, and people have mixed feelings on protein, especially with this plant-based movement. And people start questioning, should they eat meat? Should they? So again, these are all very personal choices. If you'd like to go into plant-based, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. I highly encourage plant-based thinking, where we just make sure we make plants and produce a priority. But I also want to iterate, there's nothing wrong with meat. And so if you think it's nutritionally unhealthy or anything like that, I want to disprove that myth right now. Meat is our biggest source of protein. A lot of us get plenty of protein and plenty of meat in a typical American diet. So when we're shopping for health, what we want to look for is lean meats. All right. So can you guys in the chat let me know what you think lean meats are? So when you're shopping, what are lean meats that you can purchase? Or you can either do lean meats that you like to purchase, either or. Turkey. Yes, turkey. Turkey is a great lean meat. It's that poultry. So we're talking about our turkey, our chicken, and our ducks when we're talking that typically. Turkey, I got another turkey on there. Yes. So turkey is a great lean meat to purchase. You can get it ground. You can get it from the deli section. So absolutely. Deer. Go. All right, deer. So deer is a great source or is a great source of protein. It's not as common when I see it into the meat section, so I think I'm going to have to look for it. Do you actually see deer in the store when you go? And that's a question that's directed at our guest who put that in. But let me know if you see it in the store. I'll have to go look for it next time. Pork loin. Yes. So pork can get a bad rep, right? But the pork loins, especially when you get the pork chops and you get that what we call the other white meat, which they can call pork chops especially, they can be healthful for you. It will be about how you cook them and the fat that is in them, of course. But yes, pork is a great source of protein. We don't consider it always lean, but it is an excellent source of protein. Salmon, yes, salmon and seafood, absolutely. Wegmans sometimes. Okay, good to know. I was gonna say, I don't know if I've seen deer meat in Giant, but it is great. It is definitely a great source of protein. And so salmon and seafood, absolutely. So these are great answers. And the thing is that there's all correct. So we want to go for our lean meats and fish. So if you're a fish or seafood fan, we recommend fish 2 times a week. Because it is a great source of omega 3s, which as we age is great for our brain health, but it's also good for our immune function. It's just good for us overall. And most Americans don't get enough omega 3s. So those fatty fishes and that seafood that we're going to get from the meat section can be really great for us. So remember, you can get it fresh, frozen, or canned. All right. So you don't have to get it just from the fresh section because if you don't plan to cook it that week, it can go bad. And fish and meat can be expensive. All right. So when we're going, one thing to remember is that our lean meats tend to be a little less expensive than like our beef and our other forms of pork. They can be a little less expensive when we choose turkey and chicken. And seafood, again, that just depends, but you can always get it frozen. So think about it that way. All right. So I'm probably just going to say more of what's on here. So yeah, so choose lean meats, seafood twice a week. Also, yes, so when you're shopping, don't be afraid to get the pre-made and pre-seasoned meats. Now, you may say like it might have too much salt in it, sodium in it, and that may be the case. So you want to make sure that you read the nutrition label, but especially when you are in a rush and you want to just get it done and you want to go, remember that you can get pre-seasoned, you can get pre-made. I always tell people about rotisserie chickens, which we'll get to, but if it's made and you need the convenience factor, get it. More than likely, it's still going to be less expensive to get it there pre-seasoned and pre-made than to eat out that night or to get it from somewhere else for convenience. So don't be afraid to get pre-seasoned, pre-made. And I usually do that when I don't know how to cook something. So if I don't know, like I'm not really good at cooking like a whole pork loin, so I tend to get it pre-seasoned because at least that way I know it's going to be good until I learn how to cook it and how to make it really good. Frozen seafood, as I said, and then plant-based meats and products. So as you see at the bottom of the screen, we have Impossible Burgers and also like chicken with a K. So for those of you who are vegan, vegetarian, or looking to put more plant-based options, there are meat products or plant-based meat substitutes. I want to caution everyone that just because it is a meat substitute does not make it healthier. All right. So be sure to look at the nutrition labels if you're going to get an Impossible Burger or if you're going to get something else. When you see what's there, take that information for what it is. Sometimes they add in more sugar and more salt or sodium to give it flavor and to help keep it safe and or fresh. So make sure that you are not thinking or going in thinking, if I get this, I'm going to do it because it's healthier. It may not be. So, but if that is a substitute that you'd like because for whatever reason you don't want to eat meat, go for it. Or if you just want to try it. So I actually like Impossible Burgers. So I just eat them in addition to actual meat. I am a meat eater. The thing we didn't talk about as far as lean sources of protein are going to be beans, lentil, tofu, seeds, soy-based products. So you don't just get protein from meat. So when we're talking about going through and shopping, and when you're trying to balance out your plate, so you're trying to balance out your cart as well, remember you don't always have to get meat or traditional meat products. If you're looking to switch it up, if you're looking to try something new, try lentils in a try lentils in a soup first, usually I recommend, but try lentils in a recipe. And for tofu, if you've never had it before, I have gotten extra firm tofu before and substituted it for a meat in a recipe. It sounds like, why would you ever do that? But it was actually really, really good. So my next question is going to be, are or does anybody try any type of plant-based and or alternative protein sources? So that would be anything other than our traditional turkey, chicken, and our traditional beef and pork. So does anybody eat beans, lentils, tofu? Do you guys try that? Have you tried an Impossible Burger or chicken with a K? So go ahead and throw that in the chat. Just let me know if you've tried it, and if so, what, if you want to. But I just want to know how many people have tried different protein sources.
I'm currently trying a plant-based, and so I'm doing a lot of things with beans, nuts, anything really. So I just started, and it's been a little challenging sometimes. My family is not really into that, and I have one son with nut allergies, so I have to be really cautious with what I'm making and what we're using. But I am trying a lot more beans, and I did buy some tofu. I haven't tried it yet because I don't know how I'm going to feel about that. But I'm going to attempt. That's on my menu this week.
Perfect. So you can try it so many different ways, and trying it is the fun of it, right? Our body loves things that gives it nutrients, but our taste buds love variety. So sometimes when we try it, we have to cook it. We cook it the first time. Maybe we don't cook it exactly the way we like it. And so then we try it again, and then we try to add different things like nuts and seeds. And of course, like you said, you bring up a great point. Definitely be careful of allergies. If I didn't mention that, we do know that fish and shellfish are one of the top 8 allergens, as well as nuts and seeds, or as well as nuts, especially tree nuts. So, or peanuts, I'm sorry, especially peanuts. So we want to be careful with this when we're doing it if you know someone who has allergies or severe allergies to them, because these are the ones that tend to cause anaphylaxis. So while you're trying this, definitely be careful of that. And I love that you guys have had lentil stuffed peppers. That's amazing. I want to try that. So man, and use tofu all the time as well as beans. I will say, I tell people all the time, which we're going to get into nuts and seeds because we get that from another section, but beans, nuts, and seeds can be some really unsung heroes in getting healthier. And I say that because health is about nutrient intake and nourishing our bodies. And statistics tell us what people get less of, you know. And so we tend to get less of the nutrients that are in beans, nuts, and seeds. Nuts and seeds are going to have a lot of micronutrients in them that we don't think about, like magnesium and selenium. And then beans are going to have a great source of fiber in them, as well as a great source of protein and a substitute. Same thing with nuts, great source of protein and healthy fats. So a lot of the things that we need are in beans, nuts, and seeds. So when we're thinking about this healthy food journey, when you go into the store, see if you can find some beans that you want to try, or see if you can find a recipe that makes you want to try, you know, beans as a source of your protein that day. And I tell people this all the time. I grew up a meat eater, so I love meat. So don't think that you have to get rid of meat just to try different things like beans and lentils. It seems like I shouldn't have to say that out loud, but a lot of times, like, that's our mentality. So I do beans and lentils sometimes in addition to my traditional meat sources. Just remember that you can use less of things that you normally use. So if I'm going to have beans and chicken in something, I don't need as much chicken in it because I'm going to have the beans as well. So remember, you can mix and match, you can blend. So there is no, you have to do this or have to do that. If you're thinking about going more plant-based, you can transition yourself just by trying something new. You don't have to go cold turkey if you don't want to. If you want to, go for it. And somebody mentions Morningstar products. Great company, great recipes. Again, I just caution you guys to make sure you're reading the label of those, to make sure that if you are trying to watch your sodium or watch your sugar or watch different things, that you're reading each product when you get it to see if that's something that aligns with your health goals. But I love that you guys do Impossible Burgers, tofu, beans, lentil. Those is great. And the question about quinoa, absolutely. So quinoa is amazing. It is a grain. And so it'll be in the next to the rice, and it'll be in the rice section. But it's great that you asked it in this section because it has it is the only grain with our 9 essential proteins that we need. So the difference between regular protein and essential protein is going to be, essential proteins are the ones we don't actually make in our body. So while we need protein, our bodies actually naturally make a lot of the proteins that we need. Essential ones means we have to get them from our food. And quinoa is the only grain that has all of the essential amino acids that we need, which build protein. All right. So great source of added protein, but it is a grain. All righty. So now we've done meat and seafood. So you've gone through that section. Maybe this grocery store trip, you stocked up on it because you're going to freeze some of it. Maybe something was on sale, or maybe it's a little light in the meat and seafood section because you're going to wait a little bit and go to the beans and the lentils this time. Maybe just pick up a pack of chicken and keep it moving. Whatever it is, as you're moving through the grocery store, along that back wall, that next section that you're going to walk into is going to be your dairy. All right. Now, dairy, we don't talk as much about in My Plate because it's kind of off to the side in this glass of milk that's on the My Plate sketch. But dairy is something that has vitamins and minerals in it. And we think about it most when we think about kids. So kids still need that dairy source. Dairy can have a lot of those nutrients that they need to grow their bones, grow healthy and strong. But as we become adults, the need for dairy kind of like wavers, and it's more about how are we going to eat dairy? Is dairy something that we want to eat? Is dairy something that we want to include? And so while we're thinking about dairy, because it's along that back wall, we're also going to include eggs in this section because they all tend to be right there. So when we're thinking about dairy and eggs, the one thing we want to go for is low or fat-free dairy. This is because we get a lot of fat from other sources in our diet. So we don't need another source of fat. And dairy has that natural high fat content in it. So when we're thinking about eating and shopping for health, go for low or reduced fat options or fat free. So this can include your yogurts. This can include your milk. This can include any type of sour cream or cottage cheese when we're there. Go for low fat. I tell people, like, that's just a way we can cut fat. It's a great way to cut fat. If you're looking to cut it, that is a great way to do it. When you do your butter and your margarine, you just want to limit that, but you can still buy it. But there are plant-based butters and margarines. Those are also about fat, right? Those are literally what fat is, right? It's just a whole jar of fat. So they have different alternatives now if you want to lower your fat, but you can also get reduced fat. They have all these options when you're searching for it. So when dairy and eggs, when we're shopping, our goal is to opt for low fat to no fat. And that's like the big dairy takeaway here. Now, another thing you want to think about with dairy is that you want to think about things you can add. So probiotics is a big one in dairy. They add probiotics a lot of times to yogurts. They can add it to a lot of different things. So if you can get probiotics in your cottage cheese and your yogurt, that is you adding a nutrient in there, and that is great for your gut health. All right. And so this is what we think about when we think about dairy and eggs. Again, if you're vegan or vegetarian, you're probably away from this, but there are plant-based dairy options. So if you're an almond milk drinker, an oat milk drinker, these are those plant-based options to sub for the animal fat that is in dairy. And of course, substitute for eggs if you're vegan. If you're vegetarian and you still eat eggs, understood. And so, yes, so just know all those different options that you have there. And our eggs are just in that section. Remember, there is no difference between brown and white. It's just how they're grown nutritionally. They have the same nutritional value. All right. So after we go around dairy, we've kind of looped around the store with all those main things. So now we're going to get to the center aisles. And the center aisles are where the grains are going to be. And this is going to have a lot of the starches, the grains, and a lot of the products that are on the shelf are going to be shelf stable. That means that they're not going to go bad there, which means they have more sodium in them a lot of times, but definitely preservatives. So I want to go ahead and say preservatives are not bad for you. They are FDA approved preservatives, but they are what we're going to read a lot of nutrition labels on. So this is where your nutrition label reading gets pretty heavy in the center aisle. So when you think about the center aisles, I want you guys to write in the chat really quickly, what do you tend to get the most from the center aisles? So this can be like here on the pasta aisle, this can be on the canned aisle. There's so much in the center, but this is where our grains are. So what are the grains and the cans and the things that you get from the center aisles? Tuna, great protein source, canned tuna. So perfect. That's a great thing. And we have a few more coming in. Beans, that's where you're going to get them. You're right. Our goal, sauces and pasta, yes, these are the things we're going to get. Now, our goal when we're on the center aisle shopping for health is going to be you want to look for high fiber and you want to look for whole grains when you can. That's what you're looking for. So you're looking for your brown rices, like someone wrote in here. You're looking for, you can get like lentil pasta. You're looking for whole grains. You can look for the whole grain stamp, like here on below, or here below, but you want to, when you can, whatever you buy, whether it's rice, pasta, whether it's a sauce, whether it's this, well, actually, we'll go with grains first. You want to look for whole grains because they're going to have more fiber in it. So this is your crackers, your snacks. If you get Triscuits, if you get just a cracker or a cookie or a breakfast cookie, look for whole grains where you can. That's the goal. That's how we're going to make a healthier choice when it comes to our grains. Now, when it comes to our sauces and our pastas and things like that, we're going to look for low fat, low sodium when we can. So when we do grains, we're going to look for things that look like this. So your whole grain bread, your quinoa, your all this. This is what we're looking for. So if you see the stamp, you see it. If you see whole wheat, that counts. When you see brown rice, that counts. But it could be canned, it could be bagged, it could be instant. It can be so many different ways, but look for whole grains, high fiber. All right. You can also get your pastas there. So I'll go to this picture. This is where your pastas are going to be, your rice, your canned tuna, like someone said. This is where you're going to get your fruit. Someone said they get canned pineapple. Absolutely. You're going to get that all there. All right. So the goal here is to make sure that we are looking for lower fat when we can. We're looking for lower sodium when we can. So this cut green beans, we could look for the no salt added or low salt. This fruit cocktail, we could look for it in juice or in water. We don't want it to be in syrup. Canned tuna, great source, stays on the shelf. You can get brown rice in the bag or in the cup. Absolutely. You could get your pasta. So whole grain pasta. The trick is to cook it a little longer if for some reason you don't like the taste. But either way, that's what you're looking for. The reason you're looking for that is because it's going to be pantry stable. It can stay in your pantry for a while. This is where things tend to get budget friendly and they can just stay there. And then this is where you'll be able to lower some of that sodium when you get low sodium items. You can get your beans and your lentils there. You can get seasonings and mixes there. You can get your oils there. So like your olive oil, your canola oil. So this is where you're going to get that. So that's what you want to pay attention to. All right. Okay. So now we have gone in through the store, and I know I did that one pretty fast, but what I want to say when we're here is I want you guys to go through your center aisles next, and I want you to get those things that you need, because we can be fearful of carbs when we're trying to be healthy, but we don't need to be fearful of them. We just need to do what we need to do when we're shopping. We need to look at our nutrition labels. We need to know what we want out of carbohydrates. And what we want out of carbs, if you don't take away anything else, is we want more fiber. We want whole grains, because that's going to give us a nutrient that we need. When we're looking for our carbs that can come from our fruit, our canned fruit, no matter where, like that's in there, we want to look for in water. So we want to limit additives. We want to limit these additives that we know that people add. So we want to limit added sugar and added sodium and salt. So look for those when you're there, when you're shopping. Don't be afraid to get them, because we get a lot of nutrients from the center aisle. This is where most of our fiber is going to come from. Okay. But you do want to shop with intention, knowing, okay, if I'm looking at these two, what am I actually looking for? So once you get all of that, your cart should be pretty full and you've gone through the middle, but you've missed the section. So by this time, you're going to kind of come back around, and where we missed was the deli. All right. So we don't want to overlook the deli, but I highly recommend going to the deli last. And the reason is because these are prepared foods. These are usually your easy meals. These are things that you can just like pick up, or things that make your life easier. And I want everyone's life to be easy. Absolutely. And there's nothing wrong with the deli, but sometimes when something's easy, you just want to save it for last. You don't want to take out that work in the middle. So if you go to the deli kind of first, you may end up with a lot of prepared and prepackaged things initially when you're shopping. Whereas if you save it for the end, you have a lot of the products that you need, a lot of the products that have a lot of those nutrients in it that you need. So you can save the deli for last. This is where you can pick up that rotisserie chicken that's ready to go. This is where you can pick up pre-portioned snacks, those like to-go meals if you want, pre-made pizza dough, soups. You could pick up so much from the deli. So again, great space. But again, it's fast and it's convenient, and we can be tempted if we do it a little early. So I highly recommend this grab and go section and this already made to go section last. All right. Read the food labels there as well. All right. You want to make sure that you are following MyPlate when you're trying to make a healthful choice. And so a lot of these pre-made foods have everything in them, kind of like this salmon under or on top of rice with the broccoli and the carrots. Okay. If you actually read this nutrition label, you would see that the portion size for this is actually 2 portion sizes. So reading that label can help you know, while this is a meal that's meant for you to take away and eat and ready to go, it can actually feed 2 nutritionally. So you just want to be cognizant of that. If you can eat the whole thing yourself, that's fine. But this is actually one of the family size ones, so it's a little thicker and deeper than it looks. But just know that you want to look for those things, all right, when you're going to the deli section. All right. And last but not least, you're going to go to checkout at this point. Now, this is where you've got to avoid those impulse buys, okay? Those are going to be the things right there, that sweet tooth. You want that pack of Skittles right there. There's a lot that's going to be there, and that's designed to tempt you to make an impulse buy. So you want to resist those most of the time. Don't be afraid to treat yourself if you really want it, but most of the time you want to resist those. And I tell people that as a nutritionist, but also as a frugal shopper, if you get that bag of Skittles, there was probably a bigger bag for a better value back on the aisle where candy is. So it's also not a good value buy. So it is an impulse buy that will like kind of satisfy you for the moment, but you probably ended up spending more money on it and you didn't need it in the first place. So this is where that list comes in, okay? Before you get to checkout, make sure that you've reached your goals, all right? So if your goal was a nutritional goal and you wanted to go lighter on the salt, do you see lower sodium items in your tray or in your cart? If you wanted to go lower on the added sugar, do you see those in your cart? Now, my shopping goal is to put less snacks in there because the snacks that I love are all in saturated fat. And so I have to go out of my way to not go on the chip aisle when I go to the store because I'm so tempted, because that is my temptation. And I can buy chips and so can you, but you don't want to make a habit when you're grocery shopping of always going on that aisle that you know tempts you. So if yours is the cookie aisle where there's just so many assortments, maybe we just zoom by that one because that's where our temptation is. So your health goals are the important ones here. All right. I can go on a cookie aisle and not buy anything because that's not where my temptation, that's not my weakness. So I can see different things. So remember to always know your goals. What was your goal before you came in the store? Did you stick to your list? Okay. Now, on the way out, when you're checking out and you've got those goals met, you also want to be thinking about how can you use what you just bought, especially if you bought something new and you just want to try it, right? Be sure that you are looking for cooking inspiration. Cooking inspiration helps us save money, it helps us save time, and it helps gives our taste buds that variety. If you heard my bio, I love for people to have an adventure and try something new. So maybe next time at the store, pick up one thing that you normally wouldn't try and then figure out how to cook it or prepare it or eat it. Even if it's a new fruit that you want to eat ripe and try. But if you're looking for cooking inspiration, there is a savory magazine that you can get for free on your way out. All right. Has great recipes in it. It's a seasonal magazine, so it's there almost every month. And so you can also access it online. You can look at different cooking websites and meal apps, but make sure that you're not limiting yourself to what you already know, because I'm not a gourmet chef, and somebody here may be a gourmet chef, but there's not a lot that I already know about cooking. I know a lot about food and food science, but I need inspiration just so I can shift it, change it up a little bit. So don't be afraid to grab one of those free magazines, look through it, look for some healthy options, look for something new. And if you're a tech person, you could just go on the website, use apps, go to your old recipe books if you have them. So you definitely want to do that, mix them up, maybe substitute something, but it's a great way to shop. If you know that you're going in with a new idea on a new recipe to cook, sometimes it can help guide your shopping in a very positive way to try something new, or just make a new little twist on something old, just to help you out. And I'm glad you love those magazines. Those are great. So if you've never had a savory, then definitely grab one your next time. Again, remember, it is free. And if you're like me, you don't want to get bored with food. So I can get bored with the same things that I love. And while I still love them, I need a break and I need to try other things that are new, and then I can go back to them. So I hope that when you're shopping, you're going through, if you just want to start at a space where you are going with the things that you know and just making choices to get more of vegetables or more produce or more whole grains, go for it. You can start very slow. There is no way to do it completely where you are doing the healthiest basket you could ever do. There's no way to do it where you're avoiding the foods that you love. If you really love a food but it doesn't feel healthy to you, it's okay to get it. Make sure you reward yourself. Make sure that you're getting those things. But we want to do this most of the time when we go grocery shopping. Most of the time, we want to start in produce, go around to our meat section and get that, then hit our dairy, then hit our center aisles, look for that whole grain, that low sodium, that, low added sugar, and then finally finish off with that to go, those convenience meals. And then we just want to check our goals, and then we want to check out. And that will become easier and easier as time goes on. So that is what I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know if you have any questions. You can put them in the chat real fast. And I always bring attention to this. This starts on January 17th. So this is next week. If you see any of these topics that are of interest to you, we're going to start with organizing and planning. You just scan here or go to our website and we will have sessions live just like this for you, absolutely for free to the public and everything. So we are trying to get healthier together this year. And thank you guys for having me today.
Thank you so much. That was really, really great. And I feel like I never get tired of these, no matter how many of them I attend. It's always really cool and new information. So thank you so much for that. All right, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Before we leave, I have three announcements that I want to share with you all. The first one, don't forget, we would truly appreciate your feedback. So please be sure to complete the survey in 24 hours to be entered in a drawing for Health and Wellness gift bag. And be sure to join us next Thursday, January 19th, for our next nutrition workshop, Meal Planning to Fit Your Budget, from 6 to 7 p.m. And lastly, there is an in-person wellness walk on Saturdays, January 14th, 21st, and 28th, from 10 to 11 a.m. at the Fairwood Community Park. You can register through parksdirect.com. Thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for joining us for this virtual New Year, New You Nutrition Workshop Series. For more videos to help you make healthier choices, visit the Department of Parks and Recreation's online resource center at pgparks.com or the Health and Wellness Virtual Library at wellness.pgparks.com. Until next time.